Hey everyone, welcome to Passive Play. So today I'll be reviewing Sick, currently streaming on Peacock. And let me start off by saying, how you gonna be a killer scared of COVID? Wouldn't it be prison or death? If you have the right to take somebody's life, you sure as hell better have the right to get COVID as far as I'm concerned. I just think that it's really rude, and I hope that you don't recover from it as far as the killer in this film. Now, the summary of the film is very simple. While quarantining at her family's secluded lake house during the pandemic, Parker and her best friend Mary are threatened by an unexpected visitor. And this movie could have been called text, since the killer stalks and conversates victims through text before actually killing them. And then there's this scene with Parker and Mary sitting outside by the lake, and Parker gets this random text from this unknown number saying, "Jump in, water's fine." And though both of them admit that it's creepy and strange and they don't even know who it's coming from, they don't leave. Um, they also think that it could be one of their like guy friends or whatever, one of their friends from school. They say we did post it on social media, but no one specifically knows where they went. So and I think they didn't question the convenience of the fact that you're sitting in front of a lake, you get this message saying jump in, and I would, to like kind of look around and question like, hey, we can always come back later. But either way, in slasher films, if the characters did have any sense, it wouldn't be a movie. So I also think that the film gives a little commentary on people posting their lives and information, locations, on their social media accounts. And depending on who's following you, which could be some weirdo, you should be careful what you post. Give general, not specific details about your day to day life. Now, then you have the frat boy love interest who's interested in a relationship with Parker, who and his name is DJ, who comes to let Parker know his feelings without an invite and shows up at the lake house, but he doesn't seem to actually care about her safety, leaving the front door open, letting the killer just walk in and not locking the doors once he enters. And at a certain point in the film, once the characters realize that they are not alone and all their phones have gone missing, the movie really jumps into high gear. But the killer is very athletic, like on the track and swim team, currently or once upon a time ago. And in the trailer, you see part of a kind of predator versus prey chase, kind of cat versus mouse scene with Parker and the killer. And this scene of the movie for me this is like the scene, this is probably to me like one of the funniest scenes of the movie. When the lady in the car who looks concerned for like Parker's well-being, and she sees like the questionable killer character in all black with his face, in all black with with his face all covered and everything. And she won't let Parker into her car because she's not wearing a mask. And it's like, I'm sorry, lady, I'm literally trying to fight for my life right now and didn't have time to bring a mask home. COVID is a potential killer, not like this literal killer, trying to take my life right now. And, can I just like jump in the back and hold my breath so we can go now? I'll pay for your COVID test later. And I will say that there are quite a few twists and turns of events that you may or may not see coming in the film. But the characters do fight to stay alive, whether or not they make it. You'll have to see the movie for yourself. Now, I will say that the motivation of why the killer is killing has merit in terms of logic, like one and one equals two, but killing people isn't necessary considering, like what the tone and premises of the movie to begin with. Um, you know, but killing people isn't necessary in a horror slasher film. Yes, apparently it's always necessary. So they really do believe in eye for an eye, but the killer is not rational, which is usually always the case in films like these. And there also is this Running Man scene towards the end where I'm like, why didn't you run towards the water? They're literally, I'm not. I'm telling you something, but I'm not telling you something because until you see that part of the movie, you're just like, why didn't you run in this direction? Why did you run in that direction? But either way, I just thought. But I don't know if that scene was meant to be funny, but it was. And I will say that the movie, from the moment it starts, it builds the tone of the anxiety and uneasiness of being in the beginnings of the pandemic, because this had never happened before, and there was no, there was still so much still unknown and kind of up in the air, up in the atmosphere of what can happen, where is this kind of leading towards. Going out in public, people wearing their mask, if that one person coughed and everybody is giving you the side eye, or stepping away from you, like, you got it, get away from me, don't breathe on me or in my direction, ho. And the person looking like, damn, it was just a cough, I don't have COVID. Or at least they think so. Even people were not, even though in this film, though, the people weren't even standing 6 feet apart in the line at the grocery store. It's like this long line at the grocery store, and they did not stop. They were standing like basically, back to back, front to back to each other, no space in between. Yeah, but I really liked how the film really set the tone of how it was during that time, during the beginnings of the pandemic. And even some people are still kind of like that now. But either way, this movie, I think, is actually really good. The one thing I will say is I've never been like a too much of a big horror fan, but over the last couple of years, I've started to like horror films a little bit more, or start to watch a little bit more films. Like, I'm really looking forward to the next Scream, and I believe they're doing Nun 2. I'm not sure if it's coming out this year or next year, but those are the kind of the two that I'm like, I really actually want to see. So it depends on the film. And I do also want to mention M3GAN for a moment. I think the reason that I said that it's more of a streaming movie, and to go see it at the theater, not I say you can go see it at the theater because again, it is your money. But the reason that I kind of gave it a pass and said it was a stream movie is because I feel like it marketed itself. They said it was a horror film, but I really just felt like it was a sci-fi thriller. You have this robot who is self kind of evolving and adapting to its surroundings and the information that it absorbs. It gets tainted or corrupted by the information or by what it sees that society and humans have done, and basically does the same thing. But I didn't, yes, M3GAN kills said people and different things like that, but I it wasn't, to me, there was really no horror aspect of it. She's killing people. She's not like a slasher. She's not, it's within reason to people who are affecting more or less Katie's overall physical or mental well-being to that extent. And she wasn't just going around killing random people. To me, more or less, it was people within the circumference of people around Katie who she felt or deemed as dangerous to Katie's more or less well-being. And so that's why I gave it that. I felt like it marketed itself as a horror film, and it really wasn't a horror film. So I don't know. I felt like you said it was this, but it's really more like sci-fi thriller. And it said horror sci-fi thriller, but it's like, to me, it didn't really have any horror elements per se. And that's my personal opinion, but that's why I kind of gave it that. Now, Sick is streaming. It wasn't released in theaters, but to me, this film, it you know it's done what it said it was. It's a slasher, it's a horror flick. In that sense, you're not getting cheated on a premise that isn't there, to me anyway. And Not to say that the people of M3GAN ripped it off, but it was like, I think I was expecting to see horror and I didn't see it. And I'm like, okay, this is still a good movie. It's sci-fi, it's thriller, but it's not a horror film. And I think maybe that's what threw me off in my review a little bit in retrospect. But again, getting back to Sick, again, I did like the film. I think this is also Kevin Williamson. It's two writers, but Kevin Williamson is the one that originally wrote the first two Screams, and then I think after that he had additional writers who helped, after on the third one and whatnot. He didn't write the fifth one that just came out this last year, but he wrote the original first two Scream scripts by himself. But I think I think this is it reminds me of some of a Scream to an extent. It has its own voice and things. I think it has a lot more twists and turns too, in some instances, than maybe the original Scream. I don't know. I don't see this being like a sequel, but or continuing on past this first film. But I do like this film. I think it's actually pretty good. I think there will be more horror films to come, but I think starting off as far as a streaming horror film, I think the film really did a really good job. It was an enjoyable thing. You're trying to figure out why the heck is this killer doing this. I was invested in the film. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was goodly paced. And when things started to happen, you like, well, this is really early. This can't be what yeah, So it really made you think. It kind of kept you guessing. So to me, those things are, especially if it's like a pretty good either thriller or kind of who's done it kind of a thing. Those are the things that are going to make you really enjoy the film and keep you kind of invested in it. You're not bored because you're actually engaged in what you're seeing. So either way, this film is a play for me. I mean, I don't really play or pass on necessarily streaming movies because it's streaming. You can watch it if you own said app or streaming service. Then you can watch it anytime you want. But for this one, I'll say it's a play. But I really did like this one. I thought this one was actually really good. And yeah, I kind of threw M3GAN in there because I just felt like I needed to explain it. And at first, it took me a while to figure out why. I'm like, why did yeah? It's like I like M3GAN, but like, what is yeah? That was the thing. And so yeah, it's like it said it was horror, but it really just felt like a sci-fi thriller. So I kind of felt like you marketed it as this, and it wasn't that. Like even Invisible, was it the Invisible Man? I can't remember. Did they say that was horror too? Because this is also a Blumhouse production as well. They had, they're known for doing their horror films, but I mean, a sci-fi thriller can have, aspects of horror to an extent, but I didn't really feel like M3GAN did. She was just killing people and getting them out of the way. Um, Even in The Invisible Man, I guess there was a tone of horror, but it was still, to me, that's another kind of sci-fi thriller too. But I can't remember, did they say it was horror as well? But either way, Sick is a play. It's a good film. I think you'll enjoy it. People who like horror slasher fix, I think they will enjoy it. In that instance, I think they do a pretty good job. And these are people at this point who know what they're doing. Kevin Williamson has been writing films like this for a while. This is like over 20 some, whatever, 30 some years removed from Scream. And so again, it's a good watch. Other than that, I will see you next time on the next video. Bye. And please like and subscribe. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're not so already. Bye.